What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Winning Shot Pod. Today, man, we got a jam-packed episode, man. We talking everything Sweet 16, everything you need to know. We're breaking down the games, breaking down the matchups. We're ranking the games, all of it. So go ahead, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video as well. Let's get straight into it. So yesterday, some of y'all already know, man, I already dropped my picks yesterday. So if you haven't watched that video already, go check that out. Spin the block. It's 30 seconds. So quick little watch. Go ahead and see who I picked. If not, I got them for you right here today. So let's just run through the games real quick. Um, we got Notre Dame versus Oregon State today. I like Notre Dame in that matchup. We got South Carolina versus Indiana. I like South Carolina. We got Stanford versus NC State. I like Stanford. We got Texas versus Gonzaga. I like Texas. And then tomorrow, we got UCLA versus LSU. That's going to be a great matchup. But I like UCLA now. We got Iowa versus Colorado. I'm rocking with Iowa. We got USC versus Baylor. I'm rocking with USC. And then we got UConn versus Duke. I'm rocking with UConn on now. So those are my picks right there. It's gonna be a lot of great games. We got 4 games today, 4 games tomorrow. Exciting basketball going on. So let's just start with the first game, man. We got the 2 o'clock game. We got Oregon State versus Notre Dame. That's gonna be a great matchup. Notre Dame has been battling through injuries all season. They've been playing 6 players all season, led by the big three, Science Citron, Maddie Westbell, and the freshman phenom, Hannah Hidalgo. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be close. Oregon State, I was looking at the numbers earlier. Oregon State they've lost 7 games, and their biggest loss was by 11 points to UCLA. And we know UCLA is a top team in the country. The Pac-12 was loaded this year. So they did catch a few L's in the Pac-12, but that was expected. But the keys for the game for me that I'm going to be watching for, Notre Dame foul trouble. That's going to be big. West Bell picked up 4 fouls last game. Nat Marshall, who stepped in for Kylie Watson, she went down with the torn ACL. She's been in foul trouble a few games, picking up 4 fouls, but also Nat Marshall has also been big on the other hand, defensively, changing shots, facilitating in the offense, setting good screens for Hidalgo and the guards. So she's going to be big. If she can stay out of foul trouble against Oregon State size, they got Reagan Beers down there who's dominant. She's a beast down low. So Nat Marshall's definitely gonna have to stay out of foul trouble. West Bell's gonna have to stay out of foul trouble. And then just a little bit more on Marshall. As I said, she had 5 assists against Ole Miss, 4 points, 3 rebounds. And then against Kent State in the first round, she had 7 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. So she's a factor. She might not show up in the scoring. As I said, their big three of Citron, Hidalgo, and Westbelt have been carrying the offensive load. But Marshall has to stay out of foul trouble in this game if Notre Dame wants to be successful. And then you look at the other three, Citron, Hidalgo, Westbelt. Hidalgo is probably the best two-way player in the country. She's a dog, and you'll see it in the game. Her enthusiasm, her passion for the game is one that I haven't seen in a while. She's tough, undersized but tough, and she's gonna get after it. Has no fear, can score from all 3 levels. She's gonna defend at a high level, looking to get in the passing lanes. If you're loose with the ball, she will take it from you. So that's another key to the game as well. Oregon State's guards, they have to be strong with the ball, because Hidalgo's going to be looking to swipe. You know what I'm saying? And then Citrone, I think Science Citrone is one of the most underrated players in the country. I'll say that. She can do everything. When she's aggressive looking to score, she can rebound, she can facilitate, she plays defense at a high level. They're going to need her to be aggressive today, looking for her shot to help carry that load where her dog go. And with Westbell, Maddie Westbell, she's been a quiet, unsung hero for them, scoring points, getting buckets, rebounding. She's going to have to stay out of foul trouble too in this game to match up with the Oregon State size. And one thing that I will have to note, Notre Dame has been playing a zone defense recently. Like I said, they've been playing with 6 players all season. So when they do get in foul trouble, when things aren't really going their way, when they're looking to get a stop, they switch to that zone. And that zone is an aggressive zone. They're looking to get in passing lanes. They're looking to get stops. They're looking to close out possessions, rebounding. So that zone is definitely going to be a key factor in this game against Oregon State. And then, as I mentioned already, their biggest loss for Oregon State this season was only 11 points at UCLA on the road. So Reagan Beers has to be big. She has to limit her foul. She had 4 versus Nebraska. Granted, Nebraska had Markowski down low, who's also a big threat on the block. You don't really see that in this Notre Dame team having an offensive low post threat like that. Westbeld is going to stretch out the defense. Marshall is not really looking to score like that. So Beer should be good. Foul trouble wise, she should be good. So she's definitely going to be a problem for Notre Dame. I'm definitely interested to see what their game plan is to guard her. And then their guard, Talia, she has to be strong with the ball. Like I said, a dog goes a dog on both ends. She's going to look to get steals. She's going to pressure you full court. She's going to try to, when you're inbounding the ball, she's going to try to sneak and steal it from you. So she has to limit her turnovers. She has to be strong with the ball, facilitate the offense, move it around, and also score if needed. So that's the first game. I like Notre Dame in that game. And then second game, we got South Carolina, man, undefeated, never lost. Or the ball. But yeah, they're going to be matching up with Indiana. And Mackenzie Holmes, she's been dealing with a little knee injury since the Big Ten tournament that she's been playing through. So that's going to be interesting to see if that hinders her any. She looked fine the last couple of games. So we're going to see how she matches up with Camilla Cardoza, Ashlyn Watkins, Chloe Kitts, Sanaya Fagan, the rotation of bigs that South Carolina is going to throw at her. It might be a long game. She might be able to hold her own against them. We'll see. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see, how South Carolina comes out and tries to defend Indiana for one, because Indiana does have, outside of Holmes, they do have a couple other players that can get some buckets and make things interesting. So don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but at the same time, South Carolina's playing at a very high level. They're hard to beat. They're the deepest team in college basketball. And they're a lot to handle. Down low, outside, defensively, they can switch it up. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game. I'm interested to see what the guards can do for Indiana. Sarah Scalia, she averaging 16 points, shooting 43% from 3. Yarding Garzone, 11 points per game, 42% from 3. So they have some shooters outside of Holmes that can impact the game, that can knock down shots. So we'll see what South Carolina can do defensively. I'm fully confident in Don Staley and the Gamecocks to come out with a defensive game plan to limit the shooters and, limit the post touches for Holmes down low. And then on the offensive end for South Carolina, man, they have a lot of weapons. I'll just leave it at that. They have a lot of weapons. If you've been following, Raven Johnson is just like the general, setting everything up. She can get a bucket when she needs to. She got highly criticized last year for her lack of shooting ability. She came back this year. She put in work. She put in the time. Her jump shot is significantly better. She can get a bucket when she needs to, but most of the time she's facilitating, running the show. You got Powell, one of the best shooters in the country, man, from 3. And like I said, last year, South Carolina lacked a little bit of shooting, and they definitely improved that in the offseason, bringing in Powell. You got Tessa Johnson coming off the bench. You got Full Wally coming off the bench. Like I said, Raven Johnson improved her shot. Breezy Hall, when she doesn't have to put the ball on the ground and really try to make a play. I think her strength is the catch and shoot. Um, but she can't get to the basket and make a layup if needed. You got Camila Cardoza down low, who's a 6'7" paint beast on both ends. She can block shots, alter shots, and then she's a beast on the glass and a beast just in the low post, putting up her shots. And then you got Chloe Kitts. Chloe Kitts has been coming off the bench the past couple of games, but that might have been the biggest move that South Carolina has made recently. Bringing her off the bench, she's been lights out for them. Coming off the bench as a spark plug with Full Wally, who is a future star in women's college basketball. She can do it all on both ends. So this South Carolina team is very deep, and I fully trust that they'll be ready to play against Indiana this afternoon. And then we got NC State versus Stanford. Now this is going to be a little grudge match. Two very different styles. You got North Carolina State, heavily in guard play. Isaiah James, Sanaya Rivers, River Baldwin down low, but they're led by those two guards, and James and Rivers. So we'll see what they're able to do offensively. James has been scoring from all three levels. Sanaya Rivers is a Swiss Army knife. She can do a little bit of everything: rebound, facilitate, score. But then you got the two bigs down low, Brink and Kiki down low for Stanford, and they can cause problems on both ends. Kiki dropped 40 the other night in the second round game, so we saw what she's capable of doing. Cameron Brink, top 3 pick in the WNBA draft coming up. She's a force on both ends. And then they have Hannah Jump, who can shoot the 3. So it's going to be an interesting match to see which style performs better, whether it's the bigs or whether it's the guards. We'll see. River Baldwin will definitely have to stay out of foul trouble for NC State in this matchup because, like I said, Stanford has 2 bigs. So that's going to be an interesting matchup right there. And then, we got Stanford, we got Gonzaga, and we got Texas. Texas gets it done defensively. Very good defensive team, defensively sound team, led by Madison Booker, a freshman who had to step in and change her role, change her position throughout the season. And Booker is amazing. She can facilitate. She can get her shot. And then they have Aaliyah Moore as well, who had a good game in the last round. So that's going to be interesting against the bigs and the 2 twins that Gonzaga has. I think that'll be an underrated matchup, a good matchup in the nightcap tonight. I think they play at like 10. So a late start. And then looking forward to tomorrow's games. LSU versus UCLA. I think that's going to be the best matchup of the weekend. You got 2 great teams going against each other. Great size on both teams, great guard play on both teams. I think that's just going to come down to who can get stops when they need to and who's more efficient offensively, running their offense, running their sets, and getting the looks that they want to get. Betts down low is 6'7". She has to stay out of foul trouble against Angel Reese and keep them off the boards. Keep Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow off the boards. If she can keep them off the boards, especially on the offensive rebound side, I like their chances. LSU has a lot to deal with. When you think of Reese, when you think of Morrow, when you think of Haley Van Lith, Michaela Williams is back healthy, Flau'jae Johnson, that's a lot to deal with. But I think that Kiki Rice, Charisma Osborne, and crew will be ready at the guard position for UCLA. Like I said, they have to keep LSU off the glass. That's going to be a big part of it. But I like UCLA in that game. We got Colorado versus Iowa. Talk of the town, Caitlin Clark, and Iowa, Hannah Stuckey down low. They have a good squad. I think Colorado can make things interesting for them. They have some tough guards, gritty guards, and they have some size down low as well. So Stuckey will definitely have to, stay out of foul trouble, hit her shots down low if she gets the opportunity off the screens. Um, but I like Caitlin Clark. I like her game. It's going to be interesting to see what Colorado does defensively against her. We've seen teams try to force her to pass the ball. We've seen teams just let her score, and not really let the other people beat you. So it's going to be interesting to see what their game plan actually is if they want to pressure her, similar to what West Virginia did. But West Virginia is one of the best defensive teams in the country. Um, Colorado doesn't necessarily have the defense of West Virginia, but they do have the offensive firepower on the other end to try to counter and throw blows at Iowa. But I ultimately think that Caitlin Clark and Iowa will be too much for the Buffs. I think that'll be a close game, though. And then we got Baylor versus USC. Baylor already scored a big upset against Virginia Tech. Granted, Virginia Tech was banged up. They didn't have Kitley, but still, nonetheless, a big win on the road for the Baylor Bears. They have another tough test. They just played Georgia A. Moore. Now they're playing Juju Watkins. So that's going to be interesting to see. Once again, how they try to slow down Juju. She's seen a number of defenses throughout the season. They actually have the guards and the length to kind of match up with Juju. They could throw a number of players at her. And then Raya Marshall, I think she's going to be a big key in this game. She's been big down the stretch for the Trojans, and I think she'll have another good game if needed. And she's definitely been knocking down her shots and scoring for the Trojans. I think she'll be big in this game for USC. And then we got Duke versus UConn. And Duke just had another big upset against Ohio State. They got it done defensively, but the person that I want to highlight is Reagan Richardson. She's been on a tear recently. This past couple of games scoring. And that's been big for Duke, a team that gets it done defensively. As I said, one of the toughest teams defensively in the country. Having somebody like Richardson stepping up on the scoring load has been big for them. So I'm going to be interested to see, how they try to defend Paige, who's been playing at a very high level recently. We heard Oriema talk about she's the best player in the country, and she's definitely playing like it right now. Despite the injury she's dealt with in her career, she's still been playing at a high level every time she stepped on the court. So she's nobody to sleep on. But Duke does have a tough defense that could make things challenging in this matchup. But I think that Aaliyah Edwards down low, KK Arnold has been hitting some big shots. Ncaa Mule, if she can stay out of foul trouble, will be big, especially defensively against Richardson. I think Mule has the potential to, be a somewhat of a tough defender for Richardson in this matchup. And I just think UConn will be too much for them in this game. And then, oh yeah, ranking the games. Forgot about that. Almost slipped my mind there, but I got you. But I saw a post on 24/7 Sports that was talking about ranking all the Sweet 16 matchups, and I had to draw my comment in there. So this is kind of how I rank the games for the weekend, right? So first we got LSU versus UCLA. I think that's gonna be the best game. Second, we got Notre Dame versus Oregon State. As I mentioned, that's gonna be an interesting game. Notre Dame only has 6 players, so they have to stay out of foul trouble. And then, like I said, Reagan Beers down low for Oregon State. How does Notre Dame counter that? Either playing man-to-man, staying out of foul trouble in the zone defense. Third, we got UConn versus Duke. I think that's going to be a great game. Could be a low-scoring defensive game if Duke can make things ugly. Duke likes to make things ugly. Defensively, they make things tough for you, make things hard for you. So Duke can definitely give them a good challenge, and I think it'll be a good test for UConn heading into the Elite Eight. Fourth, we got NC State versus Stanford. Like I said earlier, 2 different styles. You got the guards of NC State against the bigs of Stanford. I think that could make an interesting dynamic. And really just seeing who can execute their game plan at the highest level. Like I said, I like Stanford in that game. Fifth, we got Iowa versus Colorado. I think that could be an interesting game. Colorado, they met last year in the NCAA tournament, and Colorado fell short, but they they're returning a lot of players from last year's team, so I'm sure they're hungry. They're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. I'm sure they're going to have a somewhat of a decent game plan against Caitlin Clark, but she's going to be tough because she can beat you in multiple ways, scoring, assisting, whatever her team needs for them to get the win, she can get it done. And then sixth, we got Gonzaga versus Texas. I think that's going to be a sleeper game. Late night, so stay up. Make sure you tap in. We got some great talent in that game, so be sure to watch tonight at 10. Seventh, we got Baylor versus USC. I think that could be another good game. Juju Watkins is exciting basketball. And Baylor, can they stay hot? Can they keep it going? Can they let this run continue? And then last game, we got Indiana versus South Carolina. South Carolina has a load of talent. So does Indiana. But this is going to be a great game. But I got them as the eighth rate game this weekend. So these are the games, these are my breakdowns of it. Keys to the game, keys to watch out for, players to watch out for. So yeah, tap in this weekend, man. First game is today at 2. Got 4 games today, 4 games tomorrow, man. Get ready for the Elite 8 shortly. So there we go. That's all we got today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up too. We out.